Hi, I'm John Donoghue from the Sound Healing Training course. I'm going to explain how to assemble and make a sound healing therapy table. Your normal therapy table does not have any sound healing apparatus attached to it. Normally, if you would like to create a musical soundscape or background for yourself or for your client, you would play some music through a sound system or a CD player somewhere in the room to create a relaxing atmosphere or ambience. It is one thing to listen to music audibly with your ears. However, it can be an entirely new and amazing experience if you can actually feel the resonance of the music and its vibrations throughout your body as you lie on a therapy table during a therapy session. We will now demonstrate the assembly of the sound healing table and equipment. The equipment attached to the table does not need to be operated at a high volume in order to create vibrations through the table. The units that are used for vibrations are called tactile transducers. Tactile transducers are not like loudspeakers, which create very loud sound. Tactile transducers are designed to vibrate whatever they are attached to. For this demonstration, we will be assisted by our friend Davy. It is important to note at this stage that Davy had no prior experience of assembling a sound healing therapy table. He opens out the table to observe the underneath of the table and take notice of where the legs are attached and where any cross supports or end supports are situated when the table is folded and closed up for carrying or transporting, and uses a measuring tape to measure the space that is available to fit the sound transducers to the underside. The transducers to be fitted are I-beam IB200 tactile transducers. They measure 16.5 centimeters by 10.8 centimeters. Two of these will be fitted to the table. Each one weighs 3.5 pounds or 1.6 kilograms. So it will be necessary to first fit them to a rectangular sheet of plywood or similar wood to support them prior to fitting them to the underside of the table. He prepares a sheet of 10 mm plywood or timber measuring 33 centimeters by 42.5 centimeters. After taking notice of the best possible position to fit the first transducer onto one section of the table, he marked the position on the plywood where he would fit the transducer and proceeded to screw the transducer to the plywood using 8 mm screws. It is important to use screws for all 10 holes in the transducer. In the other half of the therapy table, there is an oval opening to facilitate a client who may be lying face down on the table. He then measured the space available between this oval opening and the center of the table where the hinges were fitted. Again, taking notice where the legs of the table closed into the table and where the end support would be situated when the table was in its closed position. He also measured where the first transducer would be located when the table was closed, so that there was room for each transducer when the table was closed and that neither transducer were coming into contact with each other when the table was closed up. He then screwed the sheets of plywood to the underside of the therapy table using 15 mm screws so as to make a secure and strong physical connection against the underside of the table. He prepared 2 lengths of 2-core speaker cable, each one 2 meters in length. On one end he fitted a Nutrix NL2FX speaker loudspeaker audio connector. This connector would be suitable for the speaker connection on the back of the amplifier. The other end of this wire was stripped to reveal approximately 50 millimeters of insulated cable, one white wire and one black wire. The ends of these wires were then stripped to reveal 10 millimeter of bare wires, which were soldered to make it easier to fit into the transducer connectors. He then fitted one of the wires into one side of the transducer and the other one into the other side of the transducer. He repeated this procedure with the second transducer. The positive plus of a two-wire positive grounded speaker wire may be white. This wire may be connected to the red plus connector of the transducer. The negative minus of a two-wire positive grounded speaker wire may be black. This wire may be connected to the black minus connector of the transducer. The white and black wires are also connected to their respective connectors in the Nutrix audio connector. The table was then turned back up on its legs and the amp and CD player prepared for wiring connections. The amplifier used in this case is a Carlsbad 300 watt Powerline Stereo Professional Power Amplifier, 150 watts per channel. And this is already fitted with a cooler fan. As you can see, connecting up the rest of the wiring is straightforward. Each Nutrix NL2FX audio speaker connector is inserted into the speaker outlet on the back of the amplifier. Then a stereo cable with phono connections on one end are plugged into the output phono connectors on the back of the CD player. The other ends of the stereo cable are fitted with 1/4-inch standard jack connectors, which are plugged into the inputs on the back of the amplifier. As you can see, two spacers were placed underneath the amplifier using two lengths of 50 mm by 25 mm timber and two more lengths of 50 mm by 25 mm timber underneath the CD player to allow a circulation of cooling air around both units. Both the amplifier and the CD player were then plugged into the mains electricity sockets. The CD player is now switched on and one of the Chakra CDs inserted. The amplifier is also switched on. Starting with the volume turned down to 0, gradually increase the volume on each channel until the volume of the vibrating transducers have reached the required volume. We have now converted a standard therapy table into a sound healing table by fitting two transducers to the underside of the table and connecting them to an amplifier and CD player. Let us now see the effects of the vibrations coming through the table. I have prepared a demonstration to show how the sound and frequencies recorded on these CDs travel through the therapy table. As you will observe, I have placed a metal lid almost full of water on the center of the therapy table. I will now turn up the amplifier to amplify the sound from the CD, which will create sound vibrations through the table. You can now observe the amazing effects that the vibration of sound has created in the water. You will observe that beautiful patterns begin to appear on the surface of the water. These have a similarity in shape and design to shapes very often seen in nature. As the CD continues to play the sound of the quartz crystal bowls, you will notice the shapes changing. And as the specifically composed and recorded vocal chants intermittently feature in the music, the resonance changes the shapes into even more elaborate shapes, patterns, and textures. Bearing in mind that the human body is composed of over 70% water, it becomes clear that sound vibrations from outside the body may have quite an effect on our overall bodies. We have created, composed and recorded vibrational sound healing CDs with a focus on pure sound waves from crystal and Tibetan bowls, coupled with the natural vibrations of the human voice in specific keys for each chakra. The vibrational sounds from these chakra CDs may help to activate and facilitate the natural healing process of organs, glands, bones, tissue and cells in the corresponding areas of the physical body. Let us hear from Davy what the experience of lying on the sound healing table feels like.
I could feel the vibrations of the bowls and voices through my whole body. In my hands, my arms, my back and legs. I could even feel it in my feet. It was a life-changing experience. I can't remember when I felt so relaxed. During the sound healing session, all my worries and stresses evaporated. Past and future didn't exist. I felt a sense of peace and inner healing.
This concludes how to assemble and make a sound healing therapy table.